In today's video, I want to cover a few different tips or techniques that you can use to improve your landscape photography output. Some tips and techniques I don't think I have covered on this channel yet. After all, I want to keep the content fresh. Also, good morning from the Danish countryside. Heather, fog and beautiful trees. What's not to like? So the first thing is that I find that it is very important to have some sort of goal with your photography, something that you are working towards. It can of course be improving your photos. Even though I've been doing this for more than 10 years, I obviously want to continue improving my photos. I want to create original photos, something different, something with a theme. But besides that, for me, as I also make content or videos here for YouTube, I also each week set me the goal of creating a video. It can be educational, it can be more adventurous, it doesn't really matter. The point is that I have some kind of deadline where I have to present some kind of project. I have to present new photos. That's what I prefer. After all, it's a photography channel. And because of this, it forces me to get out. It forces me to go out and actually take photos. Luckily, I like to be out and take photos, but it definitely helps that I need to create a video each week. The goal of the videos are, of course, for me to be able to sustain my business with you buying my products, but it is also for me to be able to look back at my old photography, see where I was and where I'm moving forward to. It's kind of like, leaving some sort of legacy. I really like that thought. So first and foremost, be sure to have a goal that makes you produce or go out and actually take photos. The first scene of the morning is a nice little simple one. As you can see here, I have a beautiful cluster of heather, and then I have these two silver birches here. I've zoomed a little bit in and then I compose the photo like this. I do have to focus stack it with 3 or 4 photos, and I'm waiting so that there's almost no wind, so that these hanging branches don't wave in the wind. So the next thing that will definitely improve your landscape photography output is to have constant awareness of your surroundings. So let's say you're standing looking at a beautiful sunset towards where the sun is going down. You have this beautiful burning sky and you're focused so much on that. However, then you miss out on everything that goes on around you. So when we were in the Dolomites, it was very easy to focus on our mountain and the beautiful backlit clouds. However, if we hadn't been completely aware, and that me and Sam had been standing in the back and saying look there, look there, look there, there was a risk that we would not have seen the 360 degrees pink clouds all the way around us. It is the same for this morning, where there's just so much fog everywhere that I'm just constantly looking around to see where the compositions are. Admittedly, I am actually struggling a little bit this morning. When I find some interesting trees, the heather has kind of gone away, and when I find a good cluster of heather, I kind of don't really have some kind of focal point. So that's annoying. However, after 45 minutes or so since the last photo, I've actually found one that I do like. So I'm photographing the tree over here, and I have a little bit of heather there in the foreground. So the composition looks like this. Yes, it is another lone tree right in the middle of the frame with some heather. I've come a little bit back so that these trees here in the background are a little bit taller and gives a little bit of interest in the background. I have nice separation between the foreground tree and those background trees right there. I am really attracted to these minimal compositions, and especially here where I do have a lot of interest in the heather down here, and this tree, this birch tree, I find to have quite a lot of character. So very simple, straight on in the middle. So one thing is to be aware to your surroundings. Another thing is to actually react to them. I do see way too many, I won't call them lazy landscape photographers, but photographers who question themselves too much whether it is worth to react on something that they see. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. And that is just so important, that give it a chance. If you're in doubt, zoom a little bit out, zoom a little bit in, move around, change the lenses if need be, react to your surroundings, and actually go and try stuff. Because in my experience, after more than 10 years, I still don't always know whether it's actually worth it. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. So in this case here, I came by this little tree there that I was attracted to. So even though I just photographed the tree over here from the last photo, and I already feel that I have, lone tree photos, like, this one also looks good, but I wanted to focus on this one here. And even though I questioned myself, should I get another lone tree photo? Okay, I tried to mix it a little bit up. So I put this one here a little bit off to the left, and then I counterbalance it with the background tree right there. And then I have the heather here in the foreground from a low angle, so that you do not see this mid-ground part here. And if you want to learn more about composition in landscape photography, woodland photography, general photography, be sure to get my ebook. It is easy to read and has plenty of examples, so you get to the point fast. In it I cover visual flow, subjects, balance, scale, and much, much more. And if you like the first one, then you can always go ahead and also get the second one. There are links to both of them down in the description of this video. Here's a photo. So what I found that really helps me is to go out with the mindset of wanting to create a piece of art. Now, obviously, I'm making photos so that you guys can look at them and get some inspiration. So I do expect some kind of quality from myself. Now, right now, I'm photographing this tree here in the background. And instead of like taking in the entire scene where I show the entire tree and I show the foreground heather, I've decided again to use a longer focal length where I zoom in. So the longer focal length at around 120 millimeter gives me this photo here. So you can see that I would argue that this here is a little bit more artsy. It's a little bit more interesting that I fill the frame with what is of interest than if I just zoomed out and show the entire thing. Because I would have a lot of like sky that is just white and there's not a whole lot to it. But if I just zoom in a little bit like this, I still show the tree, the trunk that's becoming my focal point, and then I have the heather here in the foreground. So compositionally, it is about building up your scene, making creative choices, and in that way, you will hopefully come away with something that is a little bit better than just taking in the entire scene. So there are these trees that I've been walking around like a cat around hot porridge today. Do you have that saying in English? I'm not sure. Anyway, it should be self-explanatory. So these trees here, I think they make for an amazing subject focal point, but I just haven't been able to find a proper composition close to them. So I've come a little bit further back here and I stumbled upon this one that I actually think works. So this version is a straight on, and then I'm using the layers of these bushes here in front You may have noticed that I have some heather right here. I also tried to shoot from like there and then have the heather in the foreground for this composition. I think it works too, but I do also think that this here may be a little bit stronger of a composition without the heather, because I have some trees up here and some trees up here that kind of like frames both sides. I have this one here a little bit more in the middle, and you can see I have these trees right there. I would have preferred to have a little bit more separation because they kind of like twist around each other, but I can't get it from this angle and I couldn't get it from the angle over here either. I'll work a little bit more on it and see if I can maybe squeeze in a vertical version also, maybe a little bit closer where I can get some separation. But I am actually quite happy about the scene right here. Now, one of the simpler and most obvious things that you can do to up your photography output is to wear appropriate clothing. If it's very cold, obviously put on warmer clothing. If it's very windy, put on a wind jacket. If it's wet, like it is this morning, it's a good idea to put on wellies. Simply just so you don't get wet feet very fast, so that you at the very least don't go around and being annoyed at yourself for bringing only shoes. And all this is simply just so you can endure the weather, the situations you are in, and keep photographing. I know it's obvious, but not all people actually do this. So one thing that can also up your output is, of course, to think ahead. It's pre-visualization. I've talked a little bit about it on this channel like a year ago or so, but make absolutely sure that, let's say you're out photographing the northern lights during night. It is much easier to find your composition during the day. Same goes for the Milky Way. And then wait for the northern lights or the Milky Way to be in position for that composition. Now, right now, out here photographing in fog, think ahead, like where do you think the fog will be in just a moment? Obviously, this requires experience. Like, make sure that you have scouted the area. Right now, I'm ending right here. I am a little bit in doubt about this composition, whether it works. I do think I still have enough fog for this composition to work, but it would have been nice if I had found it a little bit earlier. So I'm simply just making a horizontal version right here with all these beautiful small silver birches and some heather in front. I do have to focus stack this one. And if you want to learn how I focus stack my photos, be sure to enroll in my huge Photoshop for landscape photographers post-processing course. There is a coupon code down in the description of this video, so you can get $45 off. I made the course so it's easy for beginners of Photoshop to get started, and advanced Photoshoppers or Lightroom users or editors in general can hopefully also get something from the course. I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, I'd highly appreciate a like and a comment, and be sure to share it with your photography friends. Thanks for watching. Check out the links down in the description.